If your main concern is aging, a rough skin texture, and maybe even hyperpigmentation, and you are later on in years, let's say like 50s plus, and maybe you've been a sun worshipper all your life. I was definitely part of that crowd where brown was in and brown was better and it was healthy, and I spent many a day sunbathing, many hours that I really lost. But at the end of the day, luckily, there are great products to help to reverse it. But if that is your main concern, and if you are on a tight budget, then I recommend that you speak to your doctor and you get a prescription for vitamin A cream. This prescription cream will contain an active called retinoic acid, and retinoic acid is the strongest form of vitamin A that can be applied to the skin. You have to very gradually introduce it though, and most of the doctors these days give a prescription of a 0.5% retinoic acid. They can give higher, they can give lower. Sometimes it's in a gel, which obviously is very easily absorbed by the skin, and other times it's in a cream that takes a little bit longer to be absorbed. If you have more of a drier skin, I would absolutely suggest the cream, or if the doctor gives you a gel, then you have to put a cream over that. I always recommend that you very gradually introduce this active product. So I would suggest that you start with once a week for the first 2 weeks, then twice a week for the next 2 weeks, then 3 times a week for the next 2 weeks. And so you carry on. Every 2 weeks, you increase your application till eventually you could do every night. However, I've got some clients that's got a very dry, very sensitive skin, want to reverse some damage on the skin, but they absolutely can only tolerate their vitamin A cream maximum 3 times a week. So it all just really depends. If you're not 100% sure, speak to your doctor, speak to your professional esthetician that's working in an aesthetic center. They will have the knowledge to guide you. If you introduce it very quickly, you could potentially get what we call the retinization process, which means that the skin is going to go red, it's going to go dry, and it's going to flake. And you're going to think, oh my goodness, what is happening? The best is actually to push through, because it's going to take about 2 weeks for the skin to get used to that vitamin A. But that's why I'm a big fan to do it slowly, because if you gradually introduce it, it's just easier, because none of us want to walk around with a dry, red skin. But retinoic acid, a prescription vitamin A cream, is my absolute go-to when you're on a tight budget, when you have a lot of sun damage on your skin, you've got hyperpigmentation, and you've got deep lines and wrinkling with a very rough skin texture. That is my absolute go-to.